This is Jennifer Hale, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And, I should go.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 161 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And hold on to your hats, because this podcast is nothing but pure fuel. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week, on the virtual table, and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Chrissy had to bow out this week because Tiny is sick.
Yeah, and we're sending him good well soon wishes.
Good wishes, and just you have the Clorox wipes handy because considering how young he is, this is the first of many illnesses, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From what I understand, children are nothing but little germ factories. So they fester, they're little petri dishes, but I'm sure he will be fine with lots of cuddles and
Yes.
time spent with his
TLC.
mommy and daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully neither Chrissy nor Jared get it, whatever it is that Tiny has.
Exactly.
So, all right. So we've got quite a bit of news and a little bit of feedback. So I'm going to jump straight into it with actually two pieces of 10 o'clock news. Although this first one was last week. We just glanced over it and forgot it last week in the amass, I guess, of news that we had last week. And I'm still going to butcher his last name.
Guillaume.
Robert Guillaume. And I guess what generation you're from, you'll probably either know him best as the character Benson from back in the day. Or those of us of a younger generation know him best as Rafiki from The Lion King.
Mm-hmm. And I landed kind of in the middle, where I knew him as both.
Even in my childhood of watching, reruns of stuff on like Nick at Night, I don't think Benson was ever aired. At least not when I watched.
I think that was more of a rerun on like WGN.
Yeah, maybe that's it. So if it wasn't on Nick at Night, then I probably missed it. So, although I am familiar with the character a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But he was 89.
Yeah. So, but still.
Yep. So he had that. But always sad. But as we say with pretty much all of these, that their legacy lives on in their music or acting credits or whatever. So we do have that. And then our other piece of 10 o'clock news, you may not recognize the name, but if you're a Doctor Who fan, especially a classic Doctor Who, then you know his work. Dudley Simpson, who was a music composer for lots of shows, but most of us know him best from Doctor Who. He did incidental music for 62 Doctor Who stories.
Wow.
Including stories like Planet of Giants, The Horns of Nimon, The Ice Warriors, The Daemons, Genesis of the Daleks. He was also supposed to provide the incidental music for Shada. I don't know because we've gotten the trailer for the Shada animation So, assuming that wasn't completed and his work wasn't done, I don't know what they're going to do with that. The article didn't say. And then he even has a on-screen credit, as of all things, a music hall conductor in the Towns of Wing Chang. Big
Cool.
stretch there. It's like, hey, Mr. Simpson, would you like to play a character in Doctor Who? I'm sure he's like, sure. Like, what's the role? Music hall conductor? But again, long career, a long life. He was quite up there in age. But obviously still active if he was supposed to be working on Shada. But now when you watch one of those episodes that he did the music for, you can be like, yep, that's Dudley Simpson. And I will have to look and see, and I should have thought of this earlier, if Dr. Phil, not Oprah's Dr. Phil, but Dr. Phil, our Dr. Phil,
Yes.
friend of the show, friend of Traveling the Vortex, in his podcast he did for a while about the music from Doctor Who, if he ever did anything specific to Dudley Simpson or any of those episodes or not.
I think he did. I think I remember listening to. I'm actually looking that up as we speak.
Okay. Quick to the interwebs.
Yes.
Yes. If he did, we'll make sure to put a link to that in the show notes so you can listen to it. So.
Yep.
Those are our two pieces of 10 o'clock news. So let's move on to happier things. Starting with a couple of convention announcements. So Planet Comic-Con just announced today that Alex Kingston will be attending the convention. So Dr. Riversong, among other roles, shall be gracing Planet Comic-Con with her presence. I'm very excited about that. The more guest announcements they make, the more I'm like, can I get out there?
Right?
Like, is that something we can do? It's my birthday! So, if I don't make it out there, I'll live vicariously through the people who do go.
Yep.
Hopefully get to meet up. And then Indiana Comic-Con has started to make guest announcements, and mostly so far it's been artists and voiceover actors. But one of their first, I guess he's still a voiceover actor in Toy Story. But Wallace Shawn,
Mr. Inconceivable himself.
Inconceivable himself, will be at Indiana Comic-Con. So I guess dovetailing off of Carrie Elwes at Indiana Comic-Con this year. Let's keep the whole Princess Bride anniversary celebration going, I guess. So, and then a couple of pieces of TV news. The Orville has been renewed for a second season, which, based on my Facebook feed, has been fairly happy. I've got a few friends that are watching it begrudgingly. I'm not watching it at all because I don't need something else to watch, and frankly, I don't care. But that's just me. But I know the people that are watching it for the most part are enjoying it and are very excited that it's been renewed. And of course, I think we mentioned last week or last couple of weeks, Star Trek Discovery's also been renewed for a second season. So, whichever your cup of tea is, you're getting another season.
Yep.
And then our last bit of news is the Librarians. Its new season is coming up, but it is actually coming early. It was going to be a 2-hour premiere, but the TNT has decided to split the episodes up and move the release date up a week to December 13th. And if you're not looking at your calendar, that is a Wednesday. So make a mental note the Librarians is now on Wednesdays. Which confused me there for a second because I was looking at the calendar. I'm like, wait, that's a Wednesday. I thought it was on the weekends. So it has moved.
Which is funny, like, a few years ago, I would have wanted them to move because it's on the same time as Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
But now that Once Upon a Time has moved, it was fine where it was. And like, huh. I mean, Wednesday's fine because I don't think of anything in that time slot, but
me too.
It's funny.
It's just like,
Yeah, and even right now, it's like Sundays still would have been okay because Game of Thrones is not on, so
Exactly.
we would have been fine until Game of Thrones came back, but Game of Thrones not coming back for like 5 million years, so Librarians before Game of Thrones comes back.
And I mean,
like waiting for Sherlock.
I'm happy that it's a week early, but I'm not so sure about the splitting of the 2-hour premiere, but then at least that way we aren't burning episodes as fast.
Yes.
Because I can remember if it was like second season because of how it premiered with the NBA finals that they were burning off 2 episodes a clip every week.
Yeah.
Oh. Like, I was excited for
although that makes our the second half of December very busy for us because that means it's also coming back the same week The Last Jedi is released.
Right.
So somehow in the last like 2 weeks of December we need to talk Librarians, The Last Jedi, the Doctor Who Christmas special.
Oh my
boy.
So be prepared, folks. The schedule might get a little cray-cray.
Also, I do believe Monday in December, I think Christmas lands on a Monday this year.
Yes.
So we might have to, like, change our schedule that week.
Yeah.
Just stay tuned.
Yeah. The posting schedule is probably going to be off. We may have to end up doing extra episodes. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll find a way, people.
We will find a way.
We got a little time.
Yes. Just a little. Well, I did post because like I said, I was looking at schedule and our Patreon supporters. If you follow us on Patreon, you'll notice a post went up today with as far as shows are concerned, but like even as I put in the post, this is always subject to change. So no, I haven't.
This is written in pencil.
Like I know what we need to talk about and what we normally talk about, but it's like crap. So much stuff is happening like all at once because like you said, Christmas falls on a Monday, and then New Year's Day is on that following Monday, so. Yeah, it's gonna get a little nuts. We'll figure it out just like we always do.
Yeah.
So there's that. So that's it for Fan of News. So we do have a little bit of feedback from Chrissy's sister Shalane. She's following up on her feedback from last week. Just to clarify some things. She wanted to say that she didn't say she liked James Cameron's Avatar. She just loves the style and the music, which I totally get that because I didn't really care for the movie either. But visually it looks really cool, and I'm super excited to see the park at Disney in next month. I'm excited to see the live version of Pandora, so totally get that. And she also said that she quit watching The Walking Dead because of the blood and everything, which I totally understand that too. But Stranger Things is all right, which, there's a big difference, I think, between Stranger Things and The Walking Dead as far as gore. And all of that. And then she said she wants to finish, or she needs to finish the original Magic School Bus series, and then she will go and watch the sequel series, which, hey, I'm totally down with that too. You can never have too much Magic School Bus. So, I am totally down with that. Bring on the frizzles and the bus. Anyway, so thank you, Shalane, for sending in more feedback and following up.
Yes.
And we're always glad to get comments from our listeners. So with that, we shall move on to this week's topic. So, spoiler alert! As we were saying before we started recording, I've already told Chauncey that he's going to have to skip listening to this podcast episode because he's not watched season 2 of Stranger Things yet, which I find really funny considering when we talked Stranger Things season 1 a couple weeks ago and how I dragged my feet watching it, and Chauncey like binged it and loved it and kept telling me over and over again, you really gotta watch the show, you really gotta watch the show, it's really amazing. And I was like, I'll get to it eventually. And this time around, I binged season 2, and he's off doing other things, and I'm like, you really need to watch it. And he's like, I'll get to it. So the tables have turned.
Yeah, the Egos, break out the nougat, break out break out your quarters.
Yes. So hold on to your joysticks because things get a little nuts. But like I said, spoiler alert. So if you've not yet watched season 2 of Stranger Things, you've been warned.
Yep.
Can't say we didn't warn you. So with that warning, we shall jump into it with obviously this season it's 9 episodes instead of 8, so we get one more episode than we got with the first season, which I think they needed.
Yes.
I know the 7th episode has been very divisive among the fan base. It's too different than the rest of the series, and it doesn't seem to fit. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, just skip it. Just skip 7, go straight to 8." Honestly, I don't think. I think that's stupid, if you ask me. I mean, I would say for right now, you could probably skip episode 7 and not know what you're missing, but I have a feeling that things that happened are going to come back later, and you're going to be totally confused. So I would say just go ahead and watch it now, and then you can have that kind of sitting there in the back of your head. So.
Can you refresh my memory which episode 7 was? Because
that's the one where that's the 11-centric episode where she goes off and finds her sister.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Where she meets 8.
It's essentially Luke going off to Dagobah. Essentially.
I like that episode actually.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I mean, it definitely is different. We're outside of Hawkins. We're, completely different city. With, characters. We finally meet one of the other kids that was part of the same experiment that 11 was part of. And this gal, she was number 8. She's got the tattoo, just like 11 does. She's slightly older. We find out that her abilities are different than 11's, so we could probably assume that all of the kids probably have slightly different abilities. In this case, she has the ability to make people see things that aren't really there. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. She can make people see spiders. She can make people think that, a bridge has collapsed in front of them. But she can also do things like make really beautiful butterflies. And she says she was older when she and 11 were part, excuse me, of the experiment. I think she better understood what was going on and was slightly more, she seems to have evolved or grown up better than 11. She's got, more language. She can hold, full conversation and that sort of thing. 11 is getting there, We find out that she's been living with Hopper, and Hopper's giving her like word of the day to help expand her vocabulary, but she's still. We find out, and we saw a lot of this with the first season, but even with the second season, even now, after everything that's happened, and 11 is free essentially of everything that happened, kind of. She's very isolated. She was very isolated as a child, being essentially locked up at this facility and being subject to all these experiments. Her contact really was with the guys she called Papa and the other scientists and the other people working there. But even after breaking free, she's still very isolated because no one really understands what she went through. So since they don't understand where she's been, they don't quite understand her reaction to things. Hopper is trying to, he's trying to do the best he can. He was a parent before, so it's not like it's his first time having a kid under his wing, but 11 is drastically different than any of the other child. She's prone to outbursts, and she's still got, I think, some sort of PTSD, on top of just your normal preteen hormonal changes that are happening anyway, and then throw on top the abuse and the psychological strain and the psychic abilities that she has on top of it, and no one really gets her. So when she discovers that there is another person who went through the same thing that she could potentially find and talk to, it kind of sends her on this road trip of self-discovery by meeting this person that she's calling her sister. And I think that's why that episode is important. Because, it starts to take her down this even darker path than what she already had been on. But at the end, she realizes that it's not the right thing to do. And it's, she really needs to go back to Hawkins, to Hopper, and say, and be the hero that she needs to be. And I think that's why that episode is so important. It is a change. It's a change in atmosphere. It's a change in, character demographics and the character interactions. But to have 11 go on that journey, a lot of people are like they're a lot of people are equating it to Star Wars. It's The Empire Strikes Back, essentially. It's Luke going to Dagobah, going into the cave, at Yoda's behest. I
actually wouldn't be surprised if that's actually what happened.
Oh yeah, I imagine that it's very much influenced from that, and some people are like, oh, I'm so tired of the Star Wars, meta comparisons or whatever. But you know what? If it ain't broke,
time period.
It works.
It does.
Well, in episode 6, 11 and Hopper had that big blowout fight. She wanted to go out and do stuff. She wanted to get in touch with the crew, and Hopper's just like, no. And it was, and I don't blame her. She wants to let them know she's okay, but then Hopper knows that he doesn't want word getting spread out to protect her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think he would already be protective just because of who she is, and there's still the potential for threats out there and people that, maybe want to, figure out if they can tap into her abilities or do harm to her, or that sort of thing. The Soviet threat is still kind of out there. But also the fact that he was a parent and he lost his child,
right,
would make him even more even more protective. But at the same time, she's a kid. She needs the best way for her to move on and integrate into society and kind of blend in and not be the standout is to let her do the normal things like go trick-or-treating on Halloween, go to the snowball dance, go to school.
Yep. Go to the arcade.
Go to the arcade. So.
Because I mean, there were some really good bonding scenes with Hopper and 11. Him telling her dessert second, which was her
dinner and first, then, dessert second.
Yeah, and then episode 3 when he takes her to his grandfather's shack to, here's where you're going, and then he pulls out an album which happens to be Jim Croce's "You Don't Mess Around with Jim."
Yeah,
love the song. I mean, you could actually change Walker to Hopper and change some of the lyrics a little bit, but you don't mess around with Hopper. You don't mess around with 11 either.
Yes,
but it was so cool.
Yeah,
to see them working and cleaning.
Yeah,
to make it home.
Yeah, I love the use of music.
Yes.
In season 2 compared to season 1. I mean, if you watch the series on Netflix, the Beyond Stranger Things, and the episode, I haven't finished them all yet, but the episode I just watched, they were talking about the music, and how every use of popular music, music you'd recognize from the radio, is very on purpose. A song doesn't start playing on the radio or at the snowball dance coincidentally. Every song that they've chosen means something. Some are more obvious than others, especially at the snowball dance at the end when all the kids are dancing and the police, Every Breath You Take is playing, and it's like, I'll be watching you, and it pulls out to the upside down, and we see that the shadow monster is still there, and it's like, I'll be watching you.
Oh, crud.
It's like, I hit the nose a little on the head there. Obviously there's a lot of, because it's 84, it's a Halloween time. We've seen even in the trailers the kids dressed as Ghostbusters. So
yeah, and they didn't get the memo that there were no Halloween costumes.
Yes.
At school.
Yeah. One great music cue, and I didn't necessarily catch it the first time, is in episode 8 when Billy's dad comes to confront him about where Max is, and he's getting ready. Yeah. He's getting ready to go on his date, and it's Metallica's Four Horsemen, I think is the name of the song, is playing, and it's all about the apocalypse. Is what that song is about. I mean, for him listening to Metallica, because this guy, he is. If you thought Steve was bad before Steve saw the light, Billy
did the 180. Yeah.
Oh my God. And
he was the character you loved to hate in this season.
Oh my God. What an a-hole. Pardon my language, but oh my God. He makes Steve, pre-redemption Steve, look like a freaking angel.
Yeah.
No kidding.
This guy is just awful. Absolutely awful. And, bravo, one, to the hair and makeup people for giving him this just absolutely crazy hairdo, which, fits right into the time period.
Mullet on steroids.
Yeah. And then, and then the costumes, that they have him wear, but then his attitude that he just carries.
Because they did a screenshot comparison of a younger Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
To Billy, and oh my gosh, almost dead on.
Yeah, but the thing is like they get him, between his acting and the way he carries himself as Billy, and the hair and the makeup and everything. It wasn't until I was watching, I think, a video on YouTube about Stranger Things, and they said something. They were talking about the cast or whatever. Because they were talking about the new people that they've brought in, the new actors and new characters and everything. And they're like, yeah, Dacre Montgomery, who plays Billy, he was Jason in the Power Rangers reboot movie, and I'm like,
Right?
holy crap!
Say what now?
Yes. I'm like, no, that is not the same. Nope, that's him. That is the same kid. I'm like, all right, well, Power Ranger, you're not. Not in Stranger Things. But I was like, that is no way. That is the same kid. Yep, it is. All right. Well, bravo. Hair, makeup, acting. Good job. Yeah, we get the introduction of several new characters. Billy, his stepsister, his younger stepsister, Max, who reminds me a lot of Karen Gillan.
Yes. Do not call her Maxine, or you will pay for it.
Yes. We get to see the households and parents and or any siblings for the rest of the guys, including Lucas's sister, which is she stole every scene she was in. She's like, "How about code? Shut your mouth."
Nerd.
Oh, that girl's going places.
Yeah, she is.
Girl is going places. And then we meet Dustin's mother and Muse the cat until Muse meets an untimely end to the Demogorgon.
Yeah, D'Artagnan.
Yes. I love when he's...
Or Dart.
I love when he's in the car. They're like, are you sure? You know, it's like, are you sure he's asking about Dart? I don't remember what the exact question is. It's like, are you sure he's dangerous or whatever? He's like, I didn't think so until he he screamed in my face and ate my cat. Like, yep.
But Dart did redeem himself at the end.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But and now they've got a new cat, so.
Yep. Muse 2 or something like that.
Something like that. So, and then we get Paul Reiser in as Dr. Owens. The lab that Eleven was held hostage in essentially the first time has been kind of shut down, but not really. Because the gate is still open, but now they're working on trying to contain everything, and he's working with Will and Will's mom to try and figure out if there's any lasting effects with Will being in the Upside Down and that sort of thing. And I can't remember the last time I've seen Paul Reiser in anything.
The last time I saw him was in Mad About You, and I mean at least he played a decent character, because I can kind of remember what kind of a bad guy he played in Aliens.
Yeah. So a lot of people have been doing is
which one are we going to get? Are we going to get it in between?
Yeah. So he's not a bad guy, actually. All things considering. So I mean, some of the other scientists there are actually worse than he was, especially when it looked like the choice was to try to continue to contain the Upside Down, but possibly kill Will in the process. And some of the other scientists were like, well, frankly, Sam, if the kid dies, the kid dies. And Sam was like, you say that to my face again. He's like, I will punch you. And then I think my personal favorite new addition was Sean Astin as Bob Newby.
Yes.
Dagnabbit, I got like halfway through, and I'm like, every scene that he's in, I'm like, oh. It's like, oh, Sean Astin, I love you. And I was like, oh, Bob, you're not that bad of a guy. Oh, crap. You're probably going to die.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly what
I thought he was safe when Reiser was going to lead him out, but then as soon as he sat down the gun, I'm like, darn it, Bob! Yeah. That's the equivalent of putting on a red uniform in Star Trek. You're toast!
Yeah. I was like, I had a moment there where I'm like, oh, Bob, you're awesome. Game of Thrones, I like you. That means you're gonna die.
Yep.
So now
he was good, and he was good for Joyce. And I mean, even I thought there was going to be a little jealousy between Bob and Hopper, but then Hopper kind of realized that Bob was good for Joyce.
Yes. Yeah, but now it's hashtag justice for Bob.
Yep.
Still need justice for Barb. We're getting there, but now we need justice for Bob. I was like, oh no. Yeah, he was so good too. I love the little nods to other things that Sean's done, like the Goonies and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Mr. Baldo.
Mr. Baldo, and what's at the X? Buried treasure.
Yeah.
The fact that it's set in Indiana, you think there would have been a Rudy reference in there. If there was, I totally missed it.
Yeah, because he was in Rudy.
You think there would have been a mention of like the University of Notre Dame or something?
I would have to rewatch, see if maybe there was.
Yeah, there's not one that stood out to me, but the X marks the spot. I was like, Goonies reference. So,
Oh, and then Lucas' little love triangle.
The love triangle.
Scene. Oh, boy.
Yep. Yeah. I like the I like the addition, the new characters, and unfortunately, most of them are sticking around except for Bob. Sad face. So, but yeah. Yeah. I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's definitely a tonal difference between two, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that there's not so much, I almost want to say, mystery involved. I mean, there's still things that were like, I know I was like, oh, how are they going to figure this out? Or what does this mean? And, Will ends up getting, I guess, kind of possessed for essentially this, which I feel kind of bad for the kid that plays Will. Yeah. Because he really wasn't in this series much in season 1 because he was stuck in the Upside Down. We'd see him in like flashbacks. But he didn't get nearly as much screen time as the rest of the kids. And then this time around, the first half of the season, he's running around with his friends and he's having like these episodes where he's seeing into the Upside Down and that sort of thing. And then like the last handful of episodes, he's, they keep drugging him. So he's essentially asleep for the end of the series. So once again, he really isn't doing much.
And trying to sweat the demon out of him.
Yes. But he's kind of stuck again, not really doing anything compared to the rest of the kids, and I kind of feel bad for him. It's like one of these seasons he's going to be awake all the episodes.
Maybe it'll be next season.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Maybe. I mean, kudos to him for, there's some scenes where before they kind of figure out his connection to the shadow monster, like when they go to, because they've been burning the vines, essentially, that are part of the Upside Down. And once he gets possessed by the shadow monster, if they go and burn it, like, he feels it. Because he's linked now to the Upside Down, and I mean his acting, because he's supposed to essentially feel like he's on fire, and his he's writhing and screaming and just bloody murder, and I felt it.
Oh yeah.
I felt sorry for her.
Everybody else wanted Joyce to stop, but Joyce was just like, no, we gotta keep going in order to save Will.
Yeah. But,
even though you could tell it was killing her inside, but she knew. Well,
yeah. I mean,
kind of saw what's coming.
Yeah. I mean, the Joyce from last season to this season, I mean, she's still very mama bear and very protective of her kids. At the beginning of the season, you can see she's very reluctant to let Will go off and try to have a normal life. You know, go to the arcade with his friends and that sort of thing. Which is understandable when your kid goes missing. Into another dimension,
well, especially after what happened.
Yeah, you're going to be a little protective, but you know, once Will, you know, essentially becomes possessed and part of, you know, being connected to the shadow monster, you know, she still has that, you know, I need to protect my baby. I need to, you know, I don't quite understand what's going on, but she does kind of grow into more mama bear, like, okay, what do we need to do? You know, what can I do to help? What can I do to help my son? And, you know, she doesn't fall into that, fretting mother sitting in the corner just wringing her hands like, I don't know what to do, you know, I'm so scared, and you know, I just want to protect my children.
Because she and Hopper are really the only parents in the know as to actually what's gone down and happened.
Yes. Yeah,
which I think lends kind of credence to where all the kids are kind of trusting of her, and that they can be more open about stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it certainly helps that the obviously 11 is well aware of what's in the Upside Down, but the fact that Nancy has been there, that Jonathan has been there, that Hopper's been there, that Joyce has been there, that they, you know, everyone has at least gotten a glimpse of the Upside Down and it knows that this is real.
With the exception of Steve, but then he kind of gets drafted.
Yes. Steve Harrington, babysitter of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, Dustin, instead of being the captain of the baseball team, you're captain of this team.
Yes.
Or not baseball, basketball, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Steve's line to Nancy. He's like, I may have been a pretty crappy boyfriend, but turns out I'm a pretty decent babysitter.
Yep. And just the advice that Steve gives Dustin at the dance ball.
Yeah.
Him and Dustin with the pompadour.
Yeah.
And kudos to Nancy.
Yeah.
Snowball. Sorry to jump ahead, but that was just so much that she gave to Dustin. It's just like, those girls don't know what they're missing. And I'm just like, Nancy, I could tell you weren't blowing smoke.
Yes.
You were telling them the honest to goodness truth.
Yeah. No. That should do a thing or two, I think, for Dustin's street cred.
Yes. Right? Oh, yes.
Dancing with the popular girl. So.
The high school. Oh, I just realized next season, depending on the time jump, the boys are going to be in high school.
Yep. Because they were talking about doing a time jump because of, well, you know, the cast at this age, they do real fast.
Yes.
The little boys are growing up.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and the Beyond the Stranger Things, you get to find out more outtakes with the Dustin and the... Yeah, the chewy.
Yeah. The purr.
The purr. Well, yeah, and then the one scene where 11 and Will kiss.
Yeah.
They mentioned that he mouthed, "I'm going in."
Yeah. Like, I'm just warning you, Millie, I'm coming in.
Coming in.
Well, I mean, for a lot of these kids, I mean, it's it's not just
Their
a kiss
kiss
on screen, it's their first kiss in general.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the characters
that's
that
kind of a
played,
big
the
deal.
actor and actress that played Lucas and Maxine.
Yeah.
Same thing. Well, yeah, because Millie was telling the gal who played Maxine, "Oh no, you aren't going to be," or no, the directors, "We're going to film it."
So.
Oh, yeah.
What do we want to... Let's jump to Chrissy's note that she sent us and see if that...
Yes.
See what
Sparks
that sparks anything. She mentions anything we've forgotten, so she sent in a note to us real quick to join in the conversation. So let's see. She says, I have a few thoughts I want to throw into discussion. She's like, overall, this was a great second season for Stranger Things. I was afraid they'd fall victim to the old sophomore slump, but Stranger Things 2 live up to the promise of the first season with a few hookups, but I'll get to that. The good, we get to see Lucas and Dustin's families. I love Dustin's mom to the point I wanted to cry when she couldn't find the cat. Lucas's sister was hilarious too, even if she was a pain, which, little sisters, what are you going to do? Sean Astin is Bob Newby for all the awards. Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Like,
amen.
Yeah. And as she says, it won't happen, but it needs to. Maybe they're like the People's Choice Awards, like they're the Kids' Choice Awards, maybe. Where we get to vote.
Yes.
Dustin raising a baby Demogorgon was cute, even if it had bad results.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Yeah. Nancy's character continues to grow and develop, which is great. Most of the characters got some good character development, which is good. I said I wanted to see more of Eleven's family, and I got it, so I'm happy with that. There was something to talk about too. That Dustin telling Mike's dad to his face that he's useless. If I couldn't love Dustin even more. Yeah. Hopper adopting 11 and then officially adopting her at the end was so great. The school dance at the end. Oh, my heart. Let's see. The not so good. I like Max as a new character, but I have no idea what purpose her brother served. I thought maybe they'd turn out to be connected with Hawkins' lab or something just as sinister, but he was just a controlling jerk. Their parents weren't even involved with anything in the story. The show went out of its way to make it seem like the brother, I don't remember his name, only that the new Red Power Ranger played him, was going to be this terrible villain. Sure, he broke Max's skateboard, but that's it. Well, he also broke Steve's face. Once again, Steve gets the crap beat out of him. Gotta say, wasn't a fan of spending a full episode of 11's stint with the Misfit game, which that's episode 7. True, it motivated her to go back to Hawkins and the boys, but it was kind of a weird episode. She says that's all I can think of right now. So, which, like I said earlier, I think the whole stint with 11 going off was just it was a journey she needed to go on. Like I said, she's been very isolated, and she's trying to find her place now that she's outside of the Hawkins lab.
Well, and then her meeting 8, it kind of helped her more for what she had to do, which was kind of a setup and payoff for her closing the
gate.
The gate at end of episode 9.
Yeah. Yeah, because before, I mean, obviously 11, she's very powerful. She's not one to be messed with. She can do serious damage.
I mean, Hopper was lucky when she had her tantrum that he didn't get big time hurt.
Yeah, really. But going and meeting 8 and some of these other outcasts, as it were, almost the lost boys and girls. seeing what it means to be abandoned, because these people, they consider themselves abandoned and cast out from society, and being with them, and even just the short time that she's with them, I think helps show 11 that the people that she does have around her, like Hopper and Mike and the other boys, even if she hasn't been in touch with them for almost an entire year, 353 days, that having those people around her is important, and helped gave her the strength that she needed to close the gate at the end of the season.
And then too, she found out about her mom.
Yeah.
Met up with her aunt. So that was nice. Now I'm wondering if, Dad isn't going to enter into the picture season 3, or maybe not at all.
Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. And we may still end up seeing more of 11's mother,
right,
as well. I mean, at this point, it seems like the damage that was done to her, unfortunately, is not reversible. Even getting into her conscience or subconscious psychically, she's still trapped.
And letting her know that I'm okay.
Yeah. Even on the inside, she's still trapped in her own mind. So what was done to her is not likely to be able to be reversed. But at least 11 can have some closure, I guess, that she's found her mom. She's let her know she's okay, even if she doesn't understand. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, the introduction of Billy is a bit weird, but it's I think
the one ick factor was when he went to try to go find Maxine and wound up kind of trying to chat up Nancy's mom.
Mother. Yeah. Yeah. Although I agree with Chrissy that Nancy's dad is useless.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
I think we kind of figured that in season 1.
Yeah.
When he was trying to deal with the youngest, who just happens to be my namesake.
Yeah.
Poor kid.
But
Nancy, when you leave, take her with you.
Yeah.
Please.
I think maybe the introduction, or them having a human villain, is kind of their way of maybe grounding the series a little, if that makes sense. Because if we just keep it all supernatural and science fiction, then it could still be entertaining, but having characters that are quote unquote normal, that they don't have abilities, they're just, they're either young kids trying to, figure out middle school and, first crushes and that sort of thing, and awkward school dances, and, playground bullies. And we see that, bullies even continue on to older age, into high school, and dealing with, tests and college applications and that sort of thing. I think gives the characters more depth and makes us care about them more, whether we care about them because we like them or we care because we hate them. Like someone like Billy. I think it keeps the show from being just, it's another sci-fi supernatural type thing, TV series that we see a lot.
And then too, that it's with Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy. Sure, Steve and Jonathan were having their little squabble, about in regards to Nancy, but I think they've kind of come to a truce where it's just like, hey, we can be friends. We'll kind of I think it's kind of an unspoken rule that they'll let Nancy decide who she wants to pair up with.
Yeah.
But the main thing is keep her safe, keep everybody else safe. Because, I mean, Nancy got totally blitzed out of her mind at that party.
Don't want
Jonathan wound up taking her home. I mean, it could have ended bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's and we may, Billy may end up, having a bigger role to play,
right,
down the line,
and maybe possibly getting redeemed. We'll see, but I'm not holding my breath on that one.
I don't like him enough to really care.
Yeah.
Like, I would gladly trade Billy to have Bob back. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, yeah. If any person should have gotten hit by Demogorgon or Dart, it should have been Billy.
Yeah.
Stuff some nougat in those pockets and, hey, Dart, you hungry?
Yeah, really.
Go.
Yep. So, but
and it was nice to see the science teacher too, and not have him in harm's way.
Yeah. Find out he actually has a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Well, and too, how it all kind of ties back with the AV club.
Mm-hmm. That
Bob
founded the AV
the
club.
founder. He founded it.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think bringing in Max as a character is just a way to maybe round out the group a bit more. And to bring in an outsider, because they've all been through this thing together in the first series, and she's not from Indiana, she's from California. She has no idea all the things that have happened in Hawkins in the past year, and when Lucas sits her down and tells the entire story, and she's all like, well, that was entertaining, but I had some issues with it, because she thinks it's this story that he made up, and it does seem pretty ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, the story does seem pretty ridiculous until you've experienced it.
Until you're down in the tunnels and facing the shadow demons.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you meet 11 for the first time and see what she can do.
Yeah. So, I think bringing in new characters, whether they're good or bad, is not necessarily a bad thing, as long as the you do have to be careful that the cast doesn't get too bloated,
right?
Because then you would end up struggling with balancing who gets screen time, who needs more storyline, that sort of thing. So it's like
kind of like Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
To bring it up.
Yeah. Little bit.
Had a lot of cast, and they had to cut some characters to make a more cohesive story.
Yeah, which is probably why Bob got the Demogorgon to the face. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, Bob Newby, superhero. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this season. So I don't know if I necessarily I almost want to say I enjoyed this season more than I enjoyed last season. And I don't know if that's just because I'm watching season 2 so close to finally watching season 1. So to me, it's just one big, kind of awesome storyline. I haven't been waiting as much as some other people did who, watched it when it first came out on Netflix last year and have been waiting till this year to, get the sequel. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, I only had to wait like a week and a half for the sequel. So, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I guess we'll wait and see how long till season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe we'll get justice for Barb and Bob and Muse.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the introduction of the kind of the conspiracy theorist.
Oh, Merv.
Yeah, detective guy.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That was an interesting way to move the storyline along. So.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I totally understand why they did what they did as far as Barb is concerned, and try to give her parents some closure, because he's absolutely right. I mean, even with the audio recording, it's so fanciful. Even with everything that happened in season 1, to so many people who were involved, it was still kind of isolated because it pretty much all happened at Joyce's house. And it's obvious that Joyce lives like not in a more as populated neighborhood or area as everyone else. So, doing things like setting, part of the house on fire, and her bursting through the walls and stringing up all the Christmas lights and everything. Nobody really saw that unless you went to her house.
Right.
So the rest of the town is not necessary, other than the incident of 11 going to the grocery store and breaking the glass. The rest of the town's kind of ignorant to what all happened.
Yeah, well, and the police department, too, has been kind of quiet and kind of just, the close ranks behind Chief Hopper. What he says goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we'll wait and see where it goes from here. I mean, at this point, we know that the shadow monster's still there. The gate is closed, as far as we know, but that didn't kill the shadow monster. That just kind of closed the door for it to get through.
Yeah, I saw something based on whatever D&D. Supposedly, there's different types of mind flayers, so who knows? We could be in for a couple bumpy seasons.
Yeah. Well, we still don't really know anything about these creatures that live in the Upside Down. We've seen the Demogorgon, and then the baby Demogorgons, the Demodogs, essentially. Yep. And this giant shadow monster mind flayer thing. And we don't know where this came from. Has it always existed? Is this one of those things that's it's always existed since the dawn of time, or is this something that has traveled to Earth and took up residence and just happens to be in the Hawkins area?
And what does it want?
Yeah, well, we know what it wants. Yeah, it wants domination over everything. Yeah, because all of the mythology that we're getting is them just using D&D to kind of give metaphors or examples to make it easier for people to understand. We don't know if these things actually are, or if it's just coincidence that they happen to fit these character descriptions from D&D. And then we also don't know what happened to all the other children either. We don't know if 8 and 11 are the only ones alive. Obviously, with 11 and 8, we know there are at least 9 other kids. We don't know if they're all female or if there's some that are male.
Or if there's any more past 11.
We know it goes up to 11.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at this point, what we've seen, we could probably assume that there aren't any more Beyond 11 because she seemed to be the last one they were working with before she ran off and then the entire program got shut down. But at the very least, like I said, there's at least 9 more kids and we don't know their whereabouts. We don't know what their abilities are.
If they're still alive.
If they're still alive, that sort of thing. So there's still a lot of questions that we need answers to.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
we'll get them eventually, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Oh, anything else?
Not that I can think of right now.
I have to say, all the special effects were really awesome, but the ending with 11 closing the gate, I was just blown away by that whole scene.
Yeah, obviously we know Netflix does. Yeah, they're not afraid to spend some money for these series. Excuse me. But the special effects are pretty dang good.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we say that now and then, 10, 15, it's not realistic at all, but all things considering, although this season compared to last season, they're using a lot more CGI. They did mention that in the Beyond Stranger Things series. The Demogorgon in the first series was a guy in a suit, sliding around all over the place apparently because he needed to be lathered up with Vaseline to get in and out of the suit. But this time around, they had to rely more on CGI, with all the little demodogs running around and the shadow monster and everything. But it looks good. It's my one complaint is it's still too dark, and I don't mean tone wise. I mean literally dark. I turned the brightness on my iPad screen good chunks where I was struggling to see what was going on because of the lighting, because it's so dark. I'm like, I can't turn my brightness up any higher here, Netflix. Work with me here. I'm struggling to see what's going on.
I'm staying next to a light, but I don't want any glare.
Yeah. Like, there's only so much I can do. That's really my one complaint is can we, when you're lighting things, can we just turn it up just a little more? Just a smidge. So I'm gonna blow out my iPad screen trying to get it as bright as possible. Dear Netflix. Dear Duffer Brothers. When you're planning Series 3, please consider lighting. I need to see what's happening. Literally. I can't see. Anything else? Other than go watch, and then go watch the Beyond Stranger Things series. That's the nice thing about it. I do enjoy the Beyond the Story. There's a weird, and I don't know if it's just me, but with all of these streaming service-based shows on like Netflix and Hulu where they're exclusive to these services, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like these shows, like, they're really good, and we get a decent amount of with like cast and that sort of thing, but it almost seems like the streaming services don't get like the same. How I put this? Oh, they don't get quite the same amount of like behind the scenes stuff that we get with other like TV shows, where we get all sort. We'll get like videos and interviews and like demo reels and that sort of thing. But some of these streaming exclusive series, I almost feel like I'm enjoying them and watching them and consuming them. Things like The Crown and the Netflix, the Marvel series and all that. But it's like I want more, and not necessarily more of like the actual show itself. But I'm a sucker for behind the scenes stuff, commentary
on the episodes.
Yeah.
Like we had planned to do this, we found out it went better this way.
Yeah, it's like I am a sucker for that sort of stuff. On like DVDs. I've said it, a million times, and I'll keep saying it. My 12-disc Lord of the Rings box set is one of my most prized possessions. And it's because the movies are 2 discs because it's the extended editions, but then you get 2 full DVDs of nothing but behind the scenes and how it was made and all this wonderful, glorious stuff that I just eat up. And with these streaming series, we don't seem to get that sort of stuff. So I'm loving the fact that now they're doing this Beyond Stranger Things type thing, and I really want them to do things like that with like The Crown and the Marvel series. It's like, yes, give me more of that. I love this stuff.
Because we don't know exactly what got cut, if anything, from this. There could be deleted scenes that we don't even know about.
Yeah, deleted scenes, outtakes, bloopers, that sort of thing.
Bloopers, that would be fun.
Oh, it's like, please get Netflix. I want more of that. Give me more of that. I love it. I will watch it.
There is season 1 out as a Target exclusive in a VHS box that has Blu-ray and DVD of season 1. Downside, no bonus content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I want bonus
Netflix,
content.
how would that be if you decide to do this for season 2? If you have any of the bonus stuff, please give it.
Yeah. I live for bonus content, so
we're doing the Oliver Twist here, please, sirs. May we have some more?
Yes. I got some more, please. Please give me some more.
Or the Puss in Boots from Shrek.
Yeah.
With the hat and the eyes.
Yeah.
We're doing that.
Don't make me give you the eyes. Yeah. Yes, very, very much so. Yeah.
Which is funny, because there used to be a time where I thought any stuff besides like bloopers and deleted scenes were boring when I was younger, and now it's like, give me more. I need to know everything.
Yep, I need all the things. I need to know everything.
I need to know how long it took makeup
to
make.
So give us all the Hollywood secrets. Tell us all the things. All right. Anything else? All right. Well, dear listeners, if you want to chime in on Stranger Things Season 2 or any of our news bits, you can always send us feedback. The easiest is to go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com, or you can send us an email, 5ishfangirls@gmail.com, or you can send a message on Facebook, or send a tweet our way, or whatever. Links to all that are on our website. The link to that is always in the show notes. And on our Facebook page and that sort of thing. And then on our website, you also find links to the Goodreads book club. So if you like Doctor Who books, we've got a monthly book club that Holly runs pretty much all by herself. Bless you, Holly.
You're welcome. And the new book for the month is Myths and Legends.
There you go. So there's that. So you can join on that. There's also a link to our Patreon page. So if you want to support us on Patreon, there's a link to that. And for anyone that does not know, on Patreon, that you can, if you have a Patreon profile, an account, you can follow anyone on Patreon without having to give them money. You won't necessarily see everything they post, but if you've got, a creator and you just don't have the money to actually give them at the moment, you can still follow their Patreon page, and if they post anything that's not paid supporters exclusive, you will see that. And occasionally we will do that. Well, I will post something and make it exclusive to paid supporters first, and then it will go public. Sometimes it's paid supporters only, so there's incentive there, to be a paid supporter. But I follow a lot of people on Patreon that I don't actually give money to, and I'll get emails from them with updates that they make public. Some stuff is still behind a paywall, but at least it gets you, some information and updates from them that they may not be posting anywhere else. So keep that in mind. If you can't necessarily financially support anyone, go and follow their Patreon page anyway. If you go to their Patreon, I think it's up on the left-hand side. There's a button you can click follow, and if they post anything that's public, not behind a paywall, you'll see that. So that's a nice thing too, because we're not all made of money, but I still want to know what some of my favorite creators are doing. So I'm sure it makes them feel good to even just see that they've got followers, even if they're not necessarily giving them any money. So if you don't have the money to necessarily give to us at the moment, go and still follow our Patreon page. That way, when we do post something to everyone, you'll see that. Because there is things we post there that don't get posted anywhere else. So keep that in mind. And then also on our website is a link to our Amazon affiliate link. Oh, excuse me. Which if you click on that, then you can shop on Amazon. We get a little kickback from that from Amazon. It doesn't cost you any extra. You can use Amazon Prime or, whatever Amazon's got out there as far as accounts. It's hard to keep track sometimes. And especially with the holidays coming up, I know people are going to be doing all the shopping online, especially on Amazon. So if you're going to be doing any purchases on Amazon, please, try, if you're so inclined, click on our link first, and then shop and make your purchases through Amazon, and we will get a little bit from Amazon in return, which is always good. And of course, we appreciate anyone that gives us any sort of financial support, one way or another. That helps us quite a bit. It helps actually Chauncey quite a bit, considering he's the one that's paying for making sure that this show keeps going for the most part, and you get it on iTunes, and all those fun places. But he's glad to do it. But every little bit helps. And then also don't forget that the money we get from Patreon and Amazon is also going into our Fangirls Give Back initiative, which I think we'll probably keep going with our chosen charities probably up till our next birthday, just to kind of keep it going, just because we've kind of hit a dead spot as far as going to conventions and getting the word out and that sort of thing. So until convention season starts up again next year, we'll kind of just keep collecting from Patreon and Amazon, and then once we reach our next birthday, we'll see where we're at and see what we can give to those charities. So
yes.
So there's that as well. And then you can always find us on the interwebs. So feel free to tweet us or comment on our posts on Facebook. We're pretty active on the Facebook. So, really easy to share things from the Facebook like all the time. So, pretty crazy, but that's where all the good stuff is. A lot of the good stuff is. And as far as if anyone wants to send in feedback going forward, if everything goes well, hopefully next week will be our review of Thor Ragnarok. Half of us have seen it, the other half have not yet. Hopefully that will be rectified by the next show. So hopefully that will be our topic next week is Thor Ragnarok, which I'm probably going to try and go see it again before we record next week. Because I enjoyed it a lot, but there were several times where I was laughing very loudly and hard, and I think I missed some lines. So
yeah, there were a few scenes like that. Yeah.
Just a few. Yeah, it's a really good movie. I will just leave it at that for right now. It's really good. Marvel once again, A+. So,
and Stan Lee has continued on with his tradition.
Yes,
the cameo is made.
Yes. There's the Stan Lee cameo is glorious, and there are a few other cameos as well that you'll need to keep an eye out for. Some are more recognizable than others, but there's a couple of other faces that make an appearance that you may not expect to pop up in a Marvel movie. So,
Indeed.
So we will leave it at that. So if you have not seen Thor Ragnarok yet, you can have that in that little kernel in the back of your head is when you go.
That little teaser.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yep. So. Alrighty, so I think with that we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem saying good evening.
This is Heather from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana saying been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.